Bien and Scam Cardinale. Did I see them? They've got a new song coming out, yeah?
Yeah.
I saw, whose song is it? Oh, Bensol.
Yeah, it's
Bensol
Bensol.
song Namanga.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's got, I saw Kaka, I saw Ska on it.
Naviri.
And I saw Femi One writing Musiponiweka kwa hiyo ngoma. So I can't wait to hear this Namanga song, because you remember Bien was the first person to mention, and he said, "Hii album ya Bensol in a calm."
Yeah.
You guys are not ready. 21 minutes past 9 a.m. You're on Kenya's #1 hit music station, Kiss FM. And as we promised, we got a very special guest in studio.
Khalif Kairo is here with us. One guy who has been, all over the socials with everything that has been happening in Mandamano. Like, we got to see him in the front line during the protests. And thank you for gracing.
Asante.
We know you as a car dealer.
Yeah.
You're a car dealer.
Yes.
And to some extent, even plain dealer.
Yeah.
Ulianzaje hii story ya magari?
I've been doing cars toka 2015, February. I'm marking like 9 years this year.
And how did you get into the business?
Well, I've always had a passion for cars. I mean, growing up, I always liked cars. I also liked planes. So these are things I've always been passionate about. Yeah.
So you found success in that space. And recently I saw you're also learning how to be a pilot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This guy is also a pilot.
How's the journey?
No, it's perfect. Honestly,
Yeah?
I'm enjoying it.
How many hours so far?
Almost clocking 170.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the end game? You want to get your own plane, and you want to work for an airline?
Start an airline maybe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Cairo Airs.
We will Cairo you anywhere you want to go.
Cargo. I can clearly see a cargo airline
I
called.
like that one, yeah. But for me, mostly, I think more or less corporate. I feel there's a gap in the Kenyan market of corporate aviation, executives, guys want to fly themselves private to places. Yeah, I think the airline space is a bit crowded, when you think of a scheduled airline.
Yeah.
But there's quite a bit of opportunities if you try to sell this whole idea of flying private. It's actually quite big in West Africa.
So now,
very, very big.
So now I got a question. Perfect segue. Thank you for setting this up.
Yeah.
In this proposed finance bill, there was a story of there won't be taxes on helicopters.
Yeah,
So why are you fighting it? And you wanted to, ungekuwa umeanzisha airline yako fiti kabisa.
No, but even currently we don't pay taxes on planes.
Mimi sijui
Yeah,
hiyo.
una dealing na vitu zenye nini. Mwambie acha kuuza sigara. Na pombe. 24 minutes past 9 a.m. We're here with Khalif Kairo, and that's such a nice segue because I know you as a Twitter bigwig.
Yeah.
How did you become big on Twitter? Comments zenye ulianzangaje? Ilikuwa magari ama?
I think on Twitter it's all about being real with people. And that gets you controversy because a lot of people on Twitter want to walk on eggshells and want to say things as they are. So if you say things as they are, initially they'll attack you, but over time they get used to it and they actually embrace you for that. So I think it's not something that I sat down and planned. Some of these things, we just even blame God because we don't know how some of these things end up becoming the way they become. Yeah, but I just say on my part, I like being true to myself, Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You've heard it.
Yeah.
He likes being true to himself. So the question is, how did he turn into a freedom fighter? The one we have seen on pretty much on socials, he's been very vocal on his page, and then there was a bit of an about turn. So you're in the right place, 25 minutes past 9 a.m. We're here with Khalif Kairo. If you've got any questions, use the hashtag Kwambox and Kerry. Deja vu. Or as she says it, deja vu. Anasemanga deja. Deja. Yeah, ni deja vu.
Deja vu, man.
Anasemanga deja, msikize.
Okay.
Couldn't find a reason why I couldn't leave. You should have walked away from the start.
Huyu ni Mwafrika.
Elaine coming through with deja vu. Now, umesema yeye ni Mwafrika. See, she's from South Africa.
As in kabisa. That's why anasema deja vu.
Nejega. 28 minutes past 9 a.m. You're hanging out with Kwambox and Kerry. And we've got, actually, it's a KKK here in the studio. KKKK.
Okay.
No. Kwambox, Kerry, and Khalif Kairo.
All right.
Yeah.
Ni sawa.
Now,
Watu tuseme KKK.
I'm looking at his page, and 3 days ago, you posted a video. You had your gas mask on, and you were umeandika hapa mtanipata huku. And the video is of him in parliament with the people that actually occupied Parliament. When before we took the break, you set up a preamble that you are a business person.
Yeah.
Before a week ago, hata mambo ya politics hauko watu unaongea.
Yeah.
But then you found yourself occupying Parliament. What changed? What was the trigger?
I think the trigger point for a lot of young people is the leadership of this country. Because we have people who don't listen. All these people who have died, nobody had to die. This was something that people could have actually just listened, seen the warning signs and just pulled off that bill and just tried to make more consultations. But the problem is this bulldoze attitude is the reason why we're here. And it's the reason a lot of us went to the streets. I didn't go to the streets, because, for clout or because I'm getting paid. I went to the street because I'm a taxpayer and I know the pain of paying taxes. We have companies and we know by law we are mandated to pay KRA money. I have friends who work for KRA, not one, not two, not three. And I know the pressure people in KRA have, to meet targets for revenue collection. But despite all these things that are happening in this country, you have a small, bunch of elites who really don't feel the pain and who are willing to, we see them wasting money. We've had all these stories of people acquiring properties, and we see people who, before they got into government, very kawaida guys, kidogo now you see them, wearing Rolexes, and it just sends the wrong message to the business community. And now it gets to a point where even your business does not matter anymore. And what comes to mind is, how do we send a message to these people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a question you asked him off air about being scared.
Yeah.
And especially, it's all fun and games talking about what you don't want.
Yes.
Right? And being vocal about it, being on the streets like everybody else. And then you start seeing abductions happening and you're super, super vocal. At that point, were you afraid?
To be very honest, I have never been afraid in this. At no single point would I say I was afraid. Because there's one thing, once you know that you're doing the right, because I personally believe, this is my personal conviction, that if God has given you any sort of influence, you have a responsibility to speak out against some things in society. And if somebody comes and abducts you for the opinion you hold, then that person is the criminal. You're not the criminal. So there's no need to be afraid. And I'm a person who prays. And we've just been praying during the entire time and just telling God to keep me safe. But I was not scared at any given moment.
And also you being in the forefront online and also physically in the protests, I'm sure you've heard a couple of theories about these abductions and what's going on. So far, like as Khalif, like what have you heard?
Well, I spoke to a guy who was abducted. And what he told me was that what these people who are doing the abductions were very keen about is who was financing the protest. Because I think this whole thing got even the intelligence community off guard completely. So I think, this is my personal opinion, I think maybe they resorted to abductions thinking there was somebody who was funding this whole thing. And they thought by abducting people, just putting them under pressure, holding them, people are going to crack. I think only to later discover that, wait, this whole thing was organic. Because notice they kept abducting people and nothing would really stop. Because see, this whole thing has no leader. There's nobody who's going out and telling guys, look, do this, do that. Tutawalipa hivi, no. Nobody is funding anything. So I think these whole abductions things was just driven by the need for these people in government to try to figure out who was funding it.
Ulilipwa?
Today I slept at 3 a.m. editing a YouTube video. For heaven's sake. If kama ningekuwa nimelipwa, I swear sahi ningekuwa Monaco with a red Ferrari and like 2 Italian buddies. Nimalize ile, because we've seen bad things. Yeah, we've seen bad things.
Then why would you change your mind? And this is the question that actually a lot of people are questioning and even calling you a traitor. I put out the post this morning. Alerting people that you would be coming onto the show if they got any questions. And a lot of them are around mbona alikuwa anajimwagia maji ndio. Okay, this one is even trying to say that the videos of you on the streets are all fake. Right? Wewe kumwagiliwa maji.
I mean, it's crazy. People don't realize how, sijui kama kuna mtu alimwagiwa na maji ya GSU hapa. Mimi omlioshwa. Do you know mimi all my items are pink. Even the earpods, my power bank, everything is just pink. And to this day my car still smells of tear gas. because that thing goes into very bad places in your body. I wouldn't even mention on
It goes to everywhere.
It goes to everywhere, and the only relief you can get is actually pouring water on yourself.
My friend, niliona wakijaribu kutoa trouser ya Boniface Mwangi. Hiyo maji nikasema, I understand places where even no water has ever ingiat. But
people don't understand.
There's somebody here, and I want you to respond to this.
Yeah.
Huyu criminal mwenzetu aliamua akue houseboy wa Ruto. Right? This is a narrative that's being driven in a space that you're popular on Twitter.
Yeah.
Right? So what changed?
Here's the whole point. You need to understand one thing on Twitter. The people who are trying to ride on this thing, and most of the people saying that we've been sold, we are traitors, never came to the streets. I don't want to mention accounts on here, but the people I've seen, saying, oh, he got paid. This was a person, a few days to the protest, was writing and saying, Mrs. in the streets. I'm the only person in my home. I'm the only boy in my home, as if we are the only girls in our homes.
But what changed your what changed your mind?
What made me change my mind was the fact that we went to protest against the bill. Things escalated, but the government also realized, wait, these guys are not joking, and they climbed down. You see, even in war, when somebody gives in to a certain demand, you can't continue pushing on the same narrative and also being on the high table. I mean, problems are solved when people agree and there's a consensus of some sorts. So we've pulled out the bills. We've said we are going to address X, Y, Z. I think at that point I'm like, okay, so they've removed the bill. So there's no point again of going back to the streets, because a lot of people don't understand there's a human cost to everything. When people go to the streets, people get maimed. There's a guy who was shot on the back. He'll never walk. I just saw Hanifa post that on Twitter. There are people who are shot even in parliament. Brains blown open on the road, and these are people who will never talk again, you'll never live again. But there are people who simply think that just going to the protest is the in thing, and they don't realize that there's a human cost to these things. And therefore, when the government gives an indication that, look, we are willing to climb down, we are not going to push this narrative, and we are just going to slow down a bit, I feel also the protesters also need to take cue of some things and realize when someone gives you an opening, it's fine. Take it. Sit down with these people and just figure out the way forward. But you can't keep fighting forever and forever. And that's why militaries have strategists. There's a time to attack, there's a time to hold a position, and there's a time to retreat.
There's a lot of things.
Is it just to be clear? So is it safe to say that your end game was to occupy parliament and to have the bill withdrawn?
Okay, the reason we were on the streets, the main reason we were on the streets was for the bill to get cancelled. And that is why people went to occupy parliament. Remember, the message was not go and occupy State House. It was go and occupy parliament and force these people to remove the bill, which they did.
Okay.
All right.
24 minutes to 10 a.m. You're on Kiss FM. We'll take a short break with Money Long and Mariah Carey. And then when we come back, it's what's the way forward? Because you've gotten your end game, but what is the next step? And if there are conversations, because the president is looking at having dialogue, who are you nominating? Money Long coming through with Mariah Carey. The remix is Made for Me. Yeah, it's a remix at 20 minutes to 10 a.m. Ukitaka kujua uchali hapa wewe ni Gen hata sijui X. Ni Gen X ama boomer.
I think you're the millennial too.
Bruh, nimemuuliza which song can I play for you? Umesema nikucheze gani?
Nimekuambia kwanza umenipata off guard. So what came to my mind was what I was listening to. I was listening to Justin Timberlake.
Okay.
What goes around comes around. Okay, in Kiss FM, we play latest hits. But if you just joined us, we're here with Khalif Kairo, who is a car enthusiast, but has recently become an activist.
Before we took the
freedom fighter.
Before we took the break, we were talking about actually that fateful moment where now the finance bill was withdrawn, and you actually said that that's a reason for you to give the government time. And I watched the video that you did, and you said, let's give these guys 1 month. That's what you were suggesting. So what are some of the things you'd like to see in 1 month?
No, I think honestly, if these guys are serious, they really need to overhaul this government. I think if I was the president, honestly, what I'd be doing right now is I'd be honestly resetting and hard formatting this entire government, because what has happened is there are a lot of inept people in government. Yeah, and there's a lot of corruption. So I think one of the strong messages he would send is probably by just firing everybody in government and just starting afresh. Yeah.
And before we took the break, also, we had spoken about the moment that you realized, okay, now we need to stop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you didn't just... Because there's a lot of people who knew that this was the end for them, and they kept quiet and they stopped engaging.
Yes.
Right? But
Yeah.
you engaged.
Yes.
You shared your thoughts. You said,
Yes.
this is the reason why I'm not going to the streets.
Yes.
And yes. But
Yes.
the people did not take it lightly.
Yes.
In fact, a lot of the people in the movement looked at you as a traitor.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Others even pushing and saying, ulilipwa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that made you take that turnaround? And I know during the break you mentioned that the speech between the speech of the president and the speech of the vice president, of the deputy president.
Yeah.
How so?
So this is what I think. I think number one, I owe people an explanation, because when I went to the streets and I took my camera and I told people, look, Mimi, by there tomorrow you guys are going to find me on the streets. I went to the streets and I found people in the front. They're like, bro, I saw your video and I had to come. So I figured out, if I don't tell these people that I won't be there, I owe these people an explanation. I think it's cowardice to say that you're going to do something and do it, and then when things cool down, you can't just walk away. That's what many celebrities don't seem to get. We also need to be there, since we're the ones who told people we will be on the streets. When we're not going on the streets, we also need to tell them that, look, as Cairo, I'm not your leader, and I kept insisting on that. I'm not a leader of this movement, but I will not be on the streets. So if you don't see me on the streets tomorrow, don't judge me and say, oh, this guy, he was just pushing now, kidogo, he's not on the streets. I gave people my reasons for that. And you mentioned about I mentioned something about the deputy president and the president's speech.
Yeah.
I don't know if these might have escaped a lot of people, but there seems to be a huge faction in government. And when that tends to happen, people take advantage.
You mean like a rift?
Yeah. There's a huge rift in government, and now we are seeing things online that goons actually came, and some of these goons were sponsored by politicians. So there's also that possibility that this movement, which is very organic by the way, which is driven by people who are not criminals, because I think you were at the protest, and did you see any car getting broken into? The first. No car was stolen, no vehicle.
Last week?
Yeah, last week.
Yeah.
No vehicle was broken into, no shop was broken into. But the day Parliament was occupied, at a certain point in these, in this protest, we saw other external forces that starting to come in. So I figured out that the fact that there are so many things going on in government that might not be seen by the public eye, there's always that possibility that criminals will try to take advantage of these protests.
Speaking of criminals, Boniface Mwangi posted and tagged Mike Sonko that there was a threat alleged to your business.
Yes.
And that somebody had threatened you that they were going to burn down your cars.
Yeah.
Please explain what was that about?
No, I mean, I saw that threat. Boniface tagged me on that and said that, look, they're going to hire goons, they're going to come after your business. And I responded and I told them, look, if you now want to give me a very solid reason to die on this hill, touch any of my businesses, because I'm not doing this because I'm interested in any political position. People need to understand, some of us are not there because we're interested in leadership or interested in anything. We are doing it as a matter of social responsibility. We owe society a certain responsibility. When some things happen in society, we don't have the luxury to remain silent. So now going after my business, and it's basically where I get my income from. It's like you're telling me, what? Now we are anointing you. Go do this thing full time. And honestly, and that was my response. I said, look, if you go after my businesses, it's fine. I'm not the police. I can't go protect those businesses. Neither am I going to hire goons. But the moment you touch them, trust me, you've given me a reason to now dedicate myself to this whole thing, 100%.
And did you get any information that they actually tried to go after any of your businesses?
Well, to be very honest, a couple of cops did call me, because you see now from that area where the business, and they were like, look, nobody's going to come get your business. We will be on standby, and so nobody, just relax, nobody's going to come there. And yesterday, since I didn't go to the streets, I was actually at the shop. Nobody came. It was very peaceful. Yeah, basically very easy. So nothing happened.
A lot of young people look up to you. It's the reason why people have now taken like, you're not on the street, then it means you're a traitor.
Yeah.
If you could speak to the young people who are following you, what is your stance today?
My stance today is that you need to set a goal, and some of these things need strategy. There's a very good reason why militaries have clear structures. That's why you hear when a general dies, there's no vacuum. Someone else has to take over. When people go to war, there are clear doctrines. Each military of every country on earth has what we call an operational doctrine, what they believe in. So my advice to young people is, despite the fact that people are saying this thing is leaderless, there's nobody in charge, I feel if we want to achieve some very tangible gains, these all things this movement needs to have some sort of formality to it. Otherwise, it can be a struggle without clear objectives, clear strategies. Because what's going to happen is people will take their stands like I did, and will get attacked for it. But you see, at the end of the day, I keep going back to this thing where people are attacking me. I mean, I'm just one little piece in a very big equation, So I believe that people need to have clear objectives, people need to have clear strategies, and we need to know where we are going with this thing. Otherwise, it risks getting hijacked. People will go to the streets, kill, steal, and destroy stuff, and they will say, we're part of the Gen Z movement.
So the way it looks with where we're going, the presidential address, he actually mentioned that he embraces dialogue with the youth. And also in your video, I think the one that you recorded, you saying that you're not going to protest and march to State House, you said that you'll give them 1 month and also embrace dialogue as well. So now, with one thing that has to be there moving forward is there needs to be a voice for people to go and speak and represent the youth. Who are those people that you think need to be there and also would actually speak for you and go and represent the youth?
Now, honestly, in my opinion, I wouldn't want to suggest any sort of leaders, because you see, people might again misconstrue my statement and say, look, he said this, he said that. But I think in the same way, we have been able to, plan protests very organically online, using spaces, using TikTok lives, using Instagram. I feel that when it gets to a point where people need to be appointed, the masses will be the ones to decide, which is going to be very easy, honestly. I think people can just pay attention to what's going to happen online. You see,
Okay.
If people suggest you, would you accept?
No, if it comes from the position where it's the people fronting me, honestly, I will not decline, because as I said, I feel I have a social responsibility, and as Kwambox has said, some of these people look up to me. Some of them meet me and they're like, hey bro, we didn't think you'd come, but thanks a lot for coming to support us. So if this guy said like, look, we are the ones, you're the one we are fronting, go, I wouldn't really decline, to be very honest. But at this particular point, I wouldn't say again it's something that I really want, honestly.
Yeah. How many people can go on a Twitter space? Because I actually think
it's not 1 million.
Yeah, this whole conversation, let's put it on a Twitter space. Let's pick the people who are going to represent the youth, so that whatever they are talking about, we all listen.
Wait,
si waingie kwa room waongee, alafu ati
yeah.
watok hapana
Wait,
kila mtu.
You're saying we go on a Twitter space with the president?
With the president,
and
deputy president, and people who are leading the youth.
Yes.
That's what I
Lakini
suggest.
mumesikia zile lugha zenye watu watakuja.
No, I think
That's how we feel.
no, I think with time people are just going to calm down kidogo. And then maybe we can have a sober conversation, because again, having conversations when people are still mad right now. People have died. A lot of guys have died. The police have acted in a very brutal way. So the populace is still very angry. But I think after these temperatures have cooled down a bit, and people have a space where the president is there, everybody's there, and people can actually iron out things on that space.
Thank you so much, Khalif, for being here with us. Khalif Kairo, we appreciate you. Usually guests wanatuleteaga vitu. Wewe unauzanga magari? Ni shetani gani imekuambia usitulete? Have a fabulous day. Here's Mbosso and Costa Titch. Wachana na hizo ngoma za sijui, ni classic. Sikiza shetani.